All right, guys, we're back again, and today we're going to be talking about our personal stories, how we met, essentially our testimonies.
Yeah, our testimonies. That's the word.
That's the word. Our testimonies, man. How we met, who we were at that time, and it's a huge contrast from who we are today, you know? And if anything, I feel like this story should be able to give you faith that, you know, if you're somewhere, if you're lost, or if you've been lost, or if your son or your kids are lost, then you can still have hope for them, and anybody could change, you know, because who I am now, I never would have thought I would have been. And I think that's the case even for my family that looks at me, the people that know me best, the people that saw me growing up and saw what I was getting into. Even old homies, like, I'm sure look at me and like, dang, like, I don't know, just a whole different person from who I was and the direction I was going. So, and then as for you,
Same. No, for sure. Same thing. I mean, I think we were both a little wild, and we were definitely both the kids that our moms were like, please pray for my child. Separately, obviously, because I didn't know you yet, but
sure.
I know for sure. For me also, I was the one at church that I'm sure everyone was praying for me, because my mom, again, was a single mom raising 2 kids, and I was a little wilder than my brother, just at a certain age. And so I feel like at the end of the day, our testimonies are just an answered prayer from the Lord for our mothers, you know, who really stayed in the secret place and interceded and cried and pleaded for our lives. And I feel always that the Lord will be so faithful to complete his work. So here we are. So we want to share this with you.
When I think about it, I'm like, I remember, I mean, I was a pretty good kid up until I can pinpoint the one thing that essentially started to veer me off. And maybe before that, there was like little things. Like I said, I had started cussing in elementary, whatever.
You did in elementary?
Yeah, in elementary, I remember. My sister saw me cuss in elementary. She's like, why are you talking like that? And I was like, but nah, I think one of the big moments that kind of like just shifted my life was I was going to a middle school. First off, my mom sent me to this middle school. She's like, I'm not going to send you to your local middle school because I don't want you to get in trouble. There's gangs. There's just bad influences there. She's like, I'm going to send you to this other good school in Granada Hills. And I was like, all right. And I went over there. And then I remember I was cool. I was starting to meet like some of the, you know, the bad kids there. And that's who I was hanging out with and gravitating towards. So I think ever since I was young, I was gravitating towards that. And then I remember one situation, so basically the janitor left the key to the locker. I saw this janitor struggling with the key to the locker, and he was trying to open this locker. And I'm standing right across the hall just watching him. And he's trying to open it. And then he's like, man, like he walks away.
The janitor.
And I walk across the hall and I'm like, he left the key right here. And I was like, turn it, open, locker opens. I'm like, oh. I'm like, is it only for this locker or is it for other lockers? I try it. I walk a few lockers down, try it again, opens. I was like, ooh. I was like, I got a master key. I'm like, it's crazy. And then I showed a couple homies. And again, like the bad influence homies, and then I showed them the key, and they're like, "Oh, dang, that's crazy! Like, let me see." And one of the dudes is like, "You think I could borrow it for like a day?" And then I gave it to him, and he comes back, gives it to me, you know, another day, and I've come to find out he made copies of the key, and I think he sold copies or something. And then every day on the intercom, the principal or whoever, the dean, whatever, is announcing, hey, we had a PSP stolen out of a locker today. We had an iPod stolen out of a locker today. And this is when those things had just come out. So every day somebody was getting something stolen. And I'm hearing this and I'm like, ooh, like this is bad. Like I was like, I know I had something to do with that.
Yeah. Did you feel bad?
I was more like, I didn't think I was going to get caught, to be honest. But I did feel a little like responsible, but I didn't feel bad. I just didn't want to get in trouble.
Oh my gosh. Our thumbnail's going to be
I just didn't want to get in trouble, but
Mugging people.
it ended up I did end up getting in trouble. It's crazy. I got pulled out of my classroom, and it's funny because the dean came into the class, and I just instantly knew. I was like, ooh. I took the key out of my wallet that I had it in, and I hid it under the desk. There was like this little like lever, like little thing where I can hide the key, and I put it in there, and I walked out. They're like, yo, you got to come outside. And I go and walk outside. They check me, and they check my area, my backpack, everything. And they're like, yo, like, where's the key? And I'm telling you, I was still like an innocent kid at this point. So I didn't know. Like, I was still like, I was scared.
How old were you? 12?
12.
Okay, middle school.
I was like 12 years old.
6th grade?
6th grade.
Yeah.
Actually, this is 7th grade. This is like the first month of 7th grade. And so I'm like nervous, and I ended up telling him, I was like, oh, I left the key in the room, man. Like, I just told him I just broke it. I was like, I gotta put the key in the room. I snitched on myself. And then I was like, I did it, man. I was like, you know, I had the key, but I didn't steal anything. And then they had already caught some dudes. And then I remember spending that whole day in the office, and they're like, we're gonna figure it out. Like, it seemed optimistic, like everything was gonna be cool, like I wasn't gonna be in trouble. I knew I didn't steal anything, so I was like, you know, I should be good. And then boom, got kicked out of school. You know, by the end of the day, like, called my parents over, and I got kicked out of that school. And so all of a sudden we're in a position where we got to find a new school for me, because school had just started.
Jeez. Did everyone get kicked out or just you?
I think everybody that was involved got kicked out. It must have been like, I don't know, 8 kids, 6 kids. I bet you the
school was good after you guys left.
Probably, man. It was a good school. So
just kidding. Was it Frost?
Frost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Frost Middle School. But yeah, man, I would say that was the start, because, fast forwarding, I didn't spend more than a year and a half at any school after that, up until I graduated high school. And again, I was an innocent kid at that point, kicked out of my first school. I remember my mom put me in a private school, which was a school that was essentially attached to the church that we attended, and she put me in that school because we thought I was kicked out of LAUSD. So we were like, where else are we gonna go? And she put me in that school. She also was like, I gotta make sure this kid is good. Christian school, Christian private school. And when I went to that school, it was like, I was doing good, but still the outside influences, when I think about that, like the friends I was hanging out with on the street, like homies, neighbors from down the street, right, that I was riding bikes with, they were all getting influenced. When I think about that, like, I remember I had a homie who his older brother, like, the first time I ever got high was with his older brother. Took us around and hotboxed the car with us, and we were like, what, 13?
And how old was older brother? 20s?
Yeah, probably 20s.
Crazy.
And we're like 13, and he hotboxed the car with us. I remember I was just like laid out in the grass, like, just like, oh, like, that was a crazy time. But I realized the people I was hanging out with, the school I was going to, Christian kids, good kids, not really any bad influences there. Outside of school, the people I was hanging out with on the block, riding bikes with, even the soccer team I was a part of, like, even right there, like, the soccer team I was a part of would be fighting and whatnot at the games. I was still young, like, I wasn't getting involved in all that, but I was exposed. And me and my cousins started smoking. And then at that school, I ended up, I'm like 12 going on 13, and I had my first girlfriend,
at the Christian school.
At the Christian school, that's where
you're supposed to wait till marriage, babe.
That's insane. When you think about that, it's crazy. I had my first girlfriend at like 12 going on 13, and then I remember,
her love for the Lord?
Huh?
Was it her love for the Lord?
No, it was my it was my lust. I don't know what it was.
My gosh.
I don't know what it was, man. Because
you were little. I
was little.
I'm not gonna say you didn't have lust. You could have had lust at 13. I don't know.
I was so young at that point. I remember, I think she was like, oh, I think he's cute, and she like pursued me, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I was like, you want to be my girlfriend?
Because that's what you thought you had to do, right?
Yeah, I didn't know.
It was not that necessarily. I mean, was it that you wanted to? You were just like,
no, I didn't care.
That's
I
what
was
I'm
young.
saying. Like, yeah,
I
like
didn't
we
care.
grew up in a culture where the movies we grew up watching, or it was like, oh, tu novia, you know, like it, like that's the cool thing. So we thought we had to do that.
It was so funny because when I think back on that relationship, like I remember she would try to be.
Would call it a
yeah, it's weird. I mean, we were together for a year. That's a long time. That's crazy.
What? With that one?
Bro,
What?
yes.
It was that the Armenian girl?
No.
Oh.
That was
R? Oh, jeez. She's still in love with him to this day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was and she was older, so.
She was like a year older than me, maybe a year and a half or something.
Yeah.
But I remember there was moments when it would like.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that was your first girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought your Armenian girlfriend that bought you a phone.
No, that was later, but that was at that school too. But yeah, no, I remember looking back on that, like if she'd try to be dramatic and whatnot, like kind of like you said, like in the movies, like be dramatic about all these, like whatever. And then me and my homies at that time, like me, Will, who else was there? Me, Will, John. Was Luis going there? Nah, I think Luis kicked it after. Me, Will, John, like we're like, you know, these fools were from LA. And
they're older, right? Wasn't Will older?
No, we're like around the same age, but we're all like messing or like I don't know, just like influenced and you know, smoking and attracted to all that. And I remember just kicking it with them, and like if she would come up trying to trip on something and walk up to me like, oh, why aren't you like I was with them and I'd be looking at them and be like, you know, I gotta be a certain way. I was like, man, like, whatever, like, blah, blah. Like, it was just cool. Funny. Like, I had to act cool.
That's so funny. But you were 13.
13.
That is so much stress for a 13-year-old.
That's
what?
Insane. I didn't care. I wasn't stressed. I remember, I mean, yeah.
Wait, so you say you was a relationship, but like because I had a boyfriend at 12, but we wouldn't even talk.
We would talk a lot.
We wouldn't. We would like just talk after school. We would talk on the phone.
No, we had plans of getting married and all that. I just kidding.
You did? Oh.
No, heck, no, that's weird.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have my real serious, like, I had boyfriends in middle school, but.
I think anytime I treated a relationship like it was like
whatever.
No, not like whatever. Like I treated it like a relationship in a sense. Like I wasn't like talking. Like we talked. Like we talked all the time. Yes, all of that.
Okay. Did you buy her Valentine's gift?
Probably. I don't remember.
Lucky you.
I don't remember. Shut up. Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. So your first
but that's crazy to have a girlfriend that young, like when you think about it. Anyways, I dumped her on the day, like our year anniversary. Dumped her and was like, again, I was so young. I was like, I don't care. Like, yeah. Anyways, broke her heart. And then
broke her heart.
And then kept going. And so at that private school / church, I was spending a lot of time there. So the private school was attached to the church. So I was there on Sundays for church, and then I was there during the week. Then I had another little girlfriend for like, I don't know, a month, 2 months. She's some Armenian girl. I remember she gave me a phone. She got me my first phone ever so that I could text her. My parents didn't even give me a phone yet. I came home and was like, Mom, I got a phone.
What did your mom say?
She's like, my girlfriend gave it to me. And then
you told her your girlfriend?
I don't even remember, to be honest. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh. Like your parents were okay with you having a girlfriend at that age?
They knew I was dating that other girl. Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. They knew about that.
And they were fine with it? You don't remember?
I don't remember them telling me no.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, ni la cola te sabes limpiar todavía.
I don't remember telling me no.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then whatever, that lasted like 2 months. I broke up with her, and then she wanted her phone back. And then it's kind of crazy because at that point I'm like 13, 14, and after having got exposed to that, like I had messed around with like a few other girls around that age, which is pretty crazy. You know, just like making out and stuff like that. But like that's, you know, When you think about it, like now as a dad, like thinking
Oh
about
my
my kid, I'm like, oh
gosh,
hell no.
Hell no.
But back then it was kind of normal.
Yeah.
You know, when we grew
Well,
up.
normal because of what we grew up in.
Yeah, because of what we were exposed to, it was kind of normal. And then, 15 years old? I think 15 years old, I went to... Okay, so at this point, I went to local high school, started getting exposed to...
Did you get kicked out of the Christian high school?
You know what? They were going to kick me out, but I think because it's a Christian high school and they're like super nice
Christian?
and super gracious,
Yeah.
they called my parents in and they're like, yo, like, who would normally kick somebody out at this point? And they're like, but we're going to give him another chance. I'm trying to remember. I know I fought a kid in that school. I'm like, I fought somebody.
I didn't know that.
I think that might have been it.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I fought somebody, yeah. I fought some kid and I think that's why I was getting kicked out.
Was it a prayer off? I'm just kidding.
No. But anyways, they gave me grace and they were like, no, you can stay here. And then I finished 8th grade there. So I did 7th and 8th there. And then high school, my mom was like, all right, go to local high school. And at that point, I've already gotten exposed to graffiti. So I'm doing graffiti now. I had towards the end of that, I started already tagging. I was already tagging. I remember when I would walk home from the private school, I was already trying to roll joints on the way home and in gum wrappers. I would try to sprinkle a little weed in gum wrappers and try to smoke it, and I was always failing. But my mind was there. And then 9th grade, go to my local high school, mixture of everybody in the neighboring cities. And at this point, I get exposed to weed like heavily, for sure.
At your local high school now?
Yeah.
9th grade?
Yeah. I get exposed to weed heavily, and then my homies are drinking too. You know, I remember my homie Mace, like he always tells us stories. Like, I remember the first time I brought this food to the block. He's like,
oh, you got there because of Mace?
We started, I got over there because of Mace, and he brought me over there, and you know, which is like, he grew up in Panorama, and so he brought me to like the apartment building that he would kick it at, and a lot of like dudes from some hood right there at the time, and they were like tag bangers, I think, but turned into a hood. But I remember he brought me over there and to get high, and I think that was the first time I hit a bong or something, or a blunt or something, and I got super faded. And I'm still like, I'm still kind of an innocent kid. I'm like laughing, cracking up, joking. And I remember he was like, his homies, like, dude, like that hood environment, you know, like dudes are just like serious, like they would smoke and just like be serious and quiet together, or like, so they weren't used. I was throwing off the energy. And Mace tells me, he's like, bro, I remember my homies were like, bro, is this fool a narc? Like, is this fool a cop or something? Like, and I'm over here all laughing, and he's like, nah, his homies chill, but
This fool a narc.
It's funny, like it's like
16.
At like 16,
No,
yeah,
15.
exactly,
That's
literally.
funny.
And from then on, man, like I got heavy into smoking. I remember we would smoke around the PE track. We'd smoke during PE class all the time when we were doing our mile. Once we got away from the coaches, we would be smoking and, you know, basically blowing through a pen cap and blowing the smoke into our sweaters.
Yeah.
And trying to hold it in or whatever, not get caught. And so I'm getting exposed to this. I'm high during class. Obviously, I'm smoking. I'm going back to class, and I'm super high in class. So grades are plummeting. Like, I'm not really doing good in school. And then at some point, we start drinking on the weekends or on a Friday. We started drinking. We'd go to the liquor store. I remember at that age, like, we'd go to the liquor store and try to get somebody to buy us alcohol. And crazy when you think about it. Like, I wonder nowadays, like, would adults do that for kids? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't help but think.
Maybe some that do that would do that.
Yeah.
But, like, we would never.
But, like, people would do it for us, you know? People would be like, I'd be like, yo, we got cash. Like, and I don't think we were paying them anything. Yeah, like, we barely had enough to get.
Like, it was, like, around the hood.
Yeah.
You know?
And we'd just be like, yo, can you buy us this beer, buy us that beer? and then we'd give them some cash, and then they'd buy it for us. And that was working for a while, and we were doing that for a while. And then at some point, we would even just walk into the stores, into the liquor stores, because we were also, since I was already like heavy in graffiti, we used to steal spray cans. We weren't old enough to buy spray cans, so we used to steal spray cans. We'd go look at them, took them in our pants while we were pretending to look at the colors or whatever, and then we would walk out the store with 2-3 spray cans in our waistband. And so, having learned that, then we started implementing that into like stealing beer at the liquor store, and we started doing that. So while I'm going to my local high school, drinking, smoking, and just exposed to graffiti and
no school. No academics, no learning.
Yeah, I can't tell you much about that.
Yeah,
we're going to kickbacks, ditching school.
Oh yeah.
You know, at some point, you know, after like I would say at that year, a lot changed for me. Like I probably everything I was into, like going towards little by little, got accelerated. And I'm sure my mom saw it and was like, dude, like you've changed a lot. You're exposed to this, like you're going in the wrong direction. She took me out of that school at the end of the year. She was like, nah, I'm gonna take you to a different school. We're gonna get you, I think my brothers too at that point were actually in her ear about it. Yeah. They were like, yo, you gotta switch him school, put him in an art school. You know, he's doing graffiti, like put him in an art school. Like put him in an art school. He likes art. Maybe he's gonna do better over there. My brother found this school, and they sent me to the school, and then I got exposed to even more there. That's, you know, I started going to school in a completely different like environment than what I was used to. You know, we're used to like the Hispanic culture, the Hispanic kids. Again, drinking and smoking is the most that I saw there. And then I ended up going to this other school where Studio City kids were coming into. All of them were like industry kids, so their parents worked in the industry, their parents had money. You know, just the kids over there were very different from what I was used to. Now there was Jewish kids, white kids, just a little more diversity over there. And now I was kind of the one that didn't fit in, because the way that I dressed, the way that I spoke, you know, I was wearing the baggy dickies and the pro clubs, and just, you know, my hair one size. And over there it was like, you know, kids got long hair, they wear tight clothes, and
your skin color too.
Yeah, it was different, but still, like I didn't have any problem fitting in there. Like, you know, I made friends and everything was cool. Yeah. But I do remember at that school, like I got exposed to a whole lot more that just threw me in a whole different direction. Like I remember that was the first place I saw somebody do cocaine, and during lunch, see this white boy had coke on the table, and everybody's over there gathered, like, you know, trying to be low key, and this kid's just doing lines off of the table. And I was like, oh snap. I was like, well, you know, I asked questions. Like I was interested in trying that. Yeah. That's where my mind was at. And I was like, I want to try it, bro. And then he was like, here, just dip your finger and rub it on your gums. And I did that. Whole mouth numb. And I was like, oh snap. Like that was the first time I ever tried any type of drug outside of smoking weed. And that, I think, sparked my curiosity. And you know, these guys were getting high every day. They were doing ketamine, which is like they would call it Special K. It was like a horse tranquilizer. I don't even remember how it makes you feel, but it's like, I don't know. These guys would go to the bathroom, do it, come out, and then they'd be like all messed up. And then they were doing Xanax all the time, which was crazy. White boys doing Xanax and getting into fights. And I just remember Xanax, like they would be like, dude, like you forget your whole day, like what happened. And
Xanax like makes you like droopy or something?
It's like, I think it makes you feel, chill. I don't even know. Like I don't think it makes you droopy and like low energy. But like for sure, you know, I tried Xanax there, and one thing I know for sure is like I just didn't remember my whole day, which is actually like crazy. Like crazy, yeah. I went through a whole day, and then the next day I woke up and was like, damn, I couldn't even remember what I did or anything, you know. Like so, I remember those dudes would like go to parties, do Xanax, and like get in a fight, and it's like, You know, you probably don't feel no pain when you get in a fight or whatever. Like, but yeah, you know, I got exposed to a lot there. And at this point, I'm riding the bus back home to school, or yeah, back home. I can't remember. I think I was getting dropped off to school, but then I would take the bus home.
Yeah.
On the way home, I'm tagging. And through every step of this process, you know, from my local high school to this high school, like, girls was a big part of it. So I was like messing around at that point, and which is crazy too. That influences.
Why was it crazy?
What, the girls?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy when you think about like being that age. Like everything I was doing at that age. Like it's like everything you're supposed to save for when you're older, you know? And I was doing that at a young age, which is crazy. Like, again, when I think about my kids, I'm like, psh.
And then you got kicked out of that school.
And then I got kicked out of that school. I remember I was ditching a lot. So they had this system where like they had 3 lunches, I think. And so at any given time, some kids were on lunch and off of, you know, class, and then other kids would be in their class, and they would cycle through 3 lunches. At some point I was ditching, and I was taking 2 to 3 lunches and I was ditching my classes. Oh my gosh. And then I remember I got called into the office, and they had no way of knowing. So like sometimes I might say hi to the principal, be like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? Talk to the principal or something. And like he doesn't even know I'm ditching class, you know. And then
we would run away. We'd be like, oh, they're coming. So we would not get caught.
That school also didn't have a gate. It was because we had to walk down the street to go to some of the classrooms. So they like basically trusted the kids to be able to go out. Sometimes we'd go to 7-Eleven on the corner, McDonald's on the corner if we wanted to, because it was open. So another reason, like, it was easy to ditch class as well, because we'd fake like we're going to class, and then we'd just leave and then come back and go to one of our other periods or whatever, get picked up at the end of the day or whatever. But yeah, I remember the principal called me in with my parents, and he basically told them, he's like, he's been ditching class, and he's like, let me see how many times he's ditched, how many absences he has. And I had like over 100 absences, periods that I ditched, over 100 classes that I ditched. And he told them, he's like, if he ditches one more time, then we're gonna kick him out of the school. My mom was like, you better not ditch. I was like, I won't, I'll get it together. And I was like, all right, I can't ditch, you know. And the very next day, I was like, I'm gonna smoke before this next period. And I went to the 7-Eleven with some friends. I'm smoking, and I'm like, I'm not gonna ditch, I gotta get to class, but I am gonna smoke. And we're smoking in front of the 7-Eleven, and I'm like thinking in my head, like, all right, I gotta go to class soon. I'm already late to class. I'm not gonna ditch though, I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna be late. In my mind, this is what I'm thinking. And then I remember I'm smoking, and the principal drives by, and he stares at me, and I stare at him, and I'm just like, oh shoot. I went to class all high, and by the time I get out of class, my mom picks me up that day. I get in the car, and she's like, your principal called me, and he said that you're kicked out of school. And I was just like, dang. I was like, so kicked out of that school, and which sucked because that was like a good school. You know, it was a good school, and I didn't really know what. Like, had
you not been influenced academically, it would have been a good school.
Yeah, academically
and artistically, like,
yeah, it was a good school. Like, I wish I would have taken more advantage of it. That was when I was really falling off the most. A lot of your friends from there
are super talented.
Yeah. But it's crazy.
I love them.
I ran into a homie recently, and he, like, I was like a year ago, and he's like, yeah, man, he's like, even him, he's like, damn, bro, like, it's crazy, like, the switch you made, you know, like, with your life, like. But he was telling me, he's like, you remember this person, you remember so and so, and the school was very small, but I kicked it with a smaller group of people. I didn't know everybody. Like, back then I wasn't like super social, like to be mingling with everybody, but I was like mingling with my little crowd. And but he was mentioning a lot of names that I'm like, oh, I think I remember them, but multiple people that overdosed.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, yeah, so and so overdosed. They passed away. So and so's living on the street. He's like, I've seen so and so living in downtown, homeless, drugged out. And I was just like, dang, that's crazy. Like, but like those kids, it was crazy, man. Like I remember one girl that I was kind of like talking to. I remember her telling me that she was she did cocaine with her mom. She was like, my best day ever. She's like, I did cocaine with my mom on my birthday for breakfast. I was like, what? That was insane to me. So my mom would never.
We're like, my kid's best day is when we make waffles for breakfast.
Yeah. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah. But that just is it shares the background of that type of culture.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I don't even know what culture that is. That's insane.
A godless culture, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, I got kicked out of that school. We didn't really have many options. So my mom sent me to another school, another charter school that she found. And
God bless your mother's soul.
Yeah. She sent me to this other charter school. And I went there. And to be honest, that school sucked. Like, low budget. Education, nothing special about it. Like I was just like, dang, like, you know.
Especially coming from that other school.
The fact that I went to like the private school was the best education. By the time I was done with that, and then I went to the local high school, I was like, oh, I'm advanced, and I didn't even know it. Like I was learning so much at that private school.
At the private school.
Then local high school was like, I was doing good at first, and then I started falling off a little bit. And then when I went to Champs, grades were falling off again, even more. And then when I went to this other school, I was like, damn, this school sucks. Like I was like, but again, was mixing right back in with the crowd that I was used to. And that was an even smaller school. It was so small. And then eventually, at this point, I'm like, what, 16 years old, 17 maybe. And outside of school, I've got my own thing going on too. Like I'm kicking it I'm going to the clubs on the weekends, like using my cousin's ID. Popping pills has become a regular thing now because I got exposed to that at Champs. Like I was popping pills, drinking, smoking, anything I can get my hands on. Yeah, so basically, eventually I got kicked out of this school as well.
For not showing up again?
No. I remember I was hanging out in the front and somebody called the school and said, hey, there's this kid in front of school. And I got there early that day, so nobody was really there yet. And they called the school and they're like, there's this kid on his skateboard in front of school. I think he has weed on him. It looked like he was smoking. And I'm like, what? And then one of the staff members comes out and say, hey, I got a call. Somebody said that you were smoking here. And I was like, I'm not smoking. I wasn't smoking. I'm not smoking. And they're like, well, we have to check you. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not smoking. Like, I wasn't doing anything. Like, why would you have to check me? And she kept insisting. And I did have weed on me, but I wasn't smoking. And I was like, no. And then she was like, why? We have to check you, or I don't know what. But I was like, look, if you check me, like, you promise I'm not going to get in trouble? Like, I wasn't smoking. Like, and she's like, yeah. Like, you're not going to get in trouble. It's just, like, my job. I have to check you. I was like, all right. I showed her. I was like, I got weed. I just wasn't smoking. Boom. That day, call my parents. Sorry, we have to kick him out. And kicked out of that school. And it's just like, yo, what's gonna give? Like, what's next? Yeah, because I'm trying to remember if I finished. I didn't finish. I couldn't. If I got kicked out, I didn't finish 11th grade there.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I got kicked out in 12th grade from there.
Oh, 12?
I think I got kicked out of 12th grade, and then I can't remember. Either I got kicked out of late 11th or early 12th. And then I had to go eventually back to my local high school. I went back to my local high school. Like, it was like the only option. My mom was like, listen, like, I don't got time. Like, you're going to go here. And I went there, which was cool because I was excited to see all my old homies friends again. I was like, all right, dope. Like, see who's still there from my old friends. And see they're just some of the same people I knew. And yeah, went back to that school.
Well, I remember because we had already met by then.
Yeah, we were already going out.
Yeah.
Did I cool down that year? Nah,
no, you didn't cool down, but academically you were doing better because you knew you had to graduate.
I was doing better.
You knew you had to graduate, and all your teachers were telling you, you better get it together. You better get it together, or you're not going to graduate. Yes. You're not going to pass my class.
Yes.
So I remember you
because I didn't have enough credits because everything, like all my high school, I was doing bad, and I don't think I had enough credits. And they were like, "Yo, like you're right here. Like you basically have to pass all your classes with at least a C or something, or get like a couple A's or something, then you can graduate." And I was just like, dang, like, all right. So yeah, I did work harder in school.
Yeah,
I did, but I was still in the
no, but yeah. And then at some point, did you encounter the Lord still in high school or after?
I was 18.
For you, it was after.
I think it was after.
Yeah, because for me,
it was after.
I was in 11th grade.
You were still in school, and I was out when that happened.
I was a senior, so you were already graduated.
Yeah. So at this point, we had been dating, and I'm jumping over the story a lot, but like we started dating at 16 when I was at Champs. Oh no. When I was at Nova, 11th grade, we started dating, and then and we've been together ever since.
No, but we started dating, and then we met, and we were kind of partying together. Mm-hmm. We would get faded together. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Mm-hmm. And then we just like were vibing. We had a good time. We'd listen to music all day long, chilling, laughing, talking. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I started hanging out, when we got together, like I started hanging out less with my friends. I remember them being like, "Yo, Cookie, why you like taking him from us?" Yeah. And I stopped kicking it with my homies.
I was like, "Guys, I didn't do it on purpose. I'm sorry."
And I'm all kicking it. She did.
I'd be
like, "I gotta go, babe," and you'd be like, "I gotta go, baby." You'd be like, "No, stay with me, please."
Yeah, but I was never like, "Don't go hang out." I was never like that. I would hang out with you and them. Yeah. Chilling.
I'm so glad you're not easily influenced, because that would have been all bad,
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's definitely what has helped me, But we started spending a lot more time together, and then, high school, 12th grade.
Remember, tell them how you wanted me to pop pills with you.
Yeah, I wanted her to pop pills with me. Like, I kept telling her, like, I was like,
because we used to party together.
I want you to do it. Like, you're going to like it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, because we used to do warehouse parties.
And you were thinking about it. Like, you were like,
Well, because I always wanted to. But again, thank God for my mom and my brother. Caesar was always like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Don't pop pills. Even though he was popping pills. But we used to do warehouse parties all the time. Electro music. I was a shuffler. Mm-hmm. I've always been like about the vibe. Mm-hmm. I'm like, y'all can be doing drugs, whatever. I'm going to be there dancing and she's vibing and singing.
To this day, you're the same way. Because we might be with a group of people who's drinking. And she could be totally sober, and she's going to vibe just as much as the drunkest person. Yes. She's going to be like, yeah.
Like, people always ask me, like, are you faded? I'm like, no. Are you drunk? I'm like, no.
They're like, why are you like this?
Why are you so happy? I'm like, because Holy Spirit. Yeah. But that's when we met, we would like, that's kind of like how we were vibing, because I was partying. We were doing warehouse parties, and we were partying every weekend. But yeah, my brother was always like, don't pop pills, don't do this, don't do that. And I'm like, but you do it. He's like, yeah, but you're not at the age yet. And Caesar, I was like 15 and Caesar was 20, Crazy. So it was like, yeah, but you can't. And so, but my friends, like my 16, best friends already were popping pills. Everyone around me was doing it. Yeah. And so I remember it would just be so annoying, because we would go to the warehouse parties, and like they were chilling, and I would be like, let's dance before you guys, like, it hits you, because once it hit them, they were all like chilling, like, let me sit faded down with their OJ.
I'm rolling.
Yeah. And I would be like, bruh, it's so boring.
Yeah. And you were just trying to vibe.
I was just trying to vibe, but I was always too scared again to pop pills. Like, I remember you were like, just do half, and I was like, fine, I'll take half. And I was like, yeah, heck no.
And I'm honestly super happy that the opportunity never came up. We wanted to, and I wanted to, and I was like pressuring you in a sense, or trying to get you to, and like the opportunity just never came up. Like we never could,
I
you
never
know, like
did.
never had the time to, never felt like, oh, today we have hours to do it, you know.
No.
And so we never did, thankfully.
No.
And
I think more than anything, thank God, because the Lord has given me a good, like,
of course,
I don't say yes to things.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've been very good at that. And I would say, you know, 12th grade for me, like basically just graduated, thankfully. Barely. I wasn't even supposed to graduate, to be honest. One of my teachers, I remember I had this one project I had to do, and my entire grade was depending on it because I had a D. And I was like, if I get an A on this grade, on this project, I'll get a C, and then I'll pass, and I can graduate. And I remember I spent all this time doing this essay, and my teacher at the end of it was like, I turned it in. Okay, I spent all this time doing this essay, and I turned it in. And I do remember feeling a little confused about the project, but I was like, okay, like I think I get it. Like I was like, I have to do it fast. I was like, and I'm do it well. I did it, turned it into teacher, and I'm like, and I remember like a day later, I'm like, so what did you think? Like, what grade did I get? And she was like, she's like, you misunderstood the project. She's like, you didn't do it right.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And she's like, but I passed you. She's like, I don't want to see you here next year. She's like, I passed you. She's like, you're going to pass. I literally remember I picked her up. She was a little Asian teacher. She's so small. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And I picked her
You're so tall.
And I'm all tall, way taller than her. I'm like, thank you so much. She's like, oh, put me down. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, thank you.
Oh.
And then, yeah, man, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have graduated. I would have been doing continuation school.
Golly.
But I graduated, and that's it, man. At
And
that
then,
point,
no, that's not it. And then you encountered the Lord, and we were partying together.
I was gonna get into that.
Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No,
Talk
but
about
you
it.
say it. It's your
You
testimony.
might remember this better though.
No, I want to hear you, and then I'll chime in if I have to.
All right, so I'm 18 years old at this point, and we're dating.
And you grew up in a Christian home.
I grew up in a Christian home,
Well,
so I always
Christian
knew
mom.
about God. And my mom's always praying for me, and you know, I was just rebelling. But my mom's always praying for me. I grew up in a Christian home, did everything, going to the kids' classes, all that. So around 18 years old, you're working at this point. Remember, you're going to school and you're working, and I would go pick you up from work.
At the mall?
I'd skate over to the mall, and she was selling sunglasses at the mall. I'd go pick her up. I didn't drive yet, so I would go pick her up on my skateboard.
Yeah.
I'd just skate over there, pick her up, be like, all right, let's go. And then we'll just walk back home because she didn't live too far from the mall. Walk back or take the bus and just hang out. And then I remember one day she came and she was like, hey, she was all excited. Like, some people came to my job. I want to go, you know, they spoke about church they go to. They were so cool. I want you to tell this part because, I mean, what I remember is just you being excited about it and being like, I really want to go to this church that they came from. Like, they invited us. And I was like, in my head, I was just like, I was like, man, because my mom's always been like, you got to go to church. You got to go to class. Yeah. You gotta, you know, you gotta trust God. You gotta be praying. And I'm so deep into what I've been doing that I was like very disconnected from that. Yeah. And so when you brought that up, I was kind of like, oh boy, it's like I liked where we were going because there was no type of
partying.
We were partying, and you were not putting any type of like that type of boundary on me, or you were not telling me like, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. It wasn't there. You were just kind of like, yeah, like following my lead, you know, in a sense, you know. Yeah. And so when you brought that up, I was like, dang. I was like, all right though. I was like, we can go check it out. For her, she's like, I just want to check it out. I thought it was gonna be just like a one-time thing, you know.
Because you had already come to my old church.
I had already gone to your old church. That's right.
We had already gone. Like,
and I feel like every time I went to that church, I was hungover. Remember, like every time.
At my old church.
Yeah. Every time.
You're always, for sure.
Because I was out the night before, up super late.
My brother was hungover too.
Yeah, go with you, and I'd be like, all messed up.
Yeah.
it'd still be lingering in me while I was there. And I can't even remember the first time we went. I don't know if you do.
I have, of course. I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the first Sunday of 2011.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I just remember soon after that, like they had an event, call it an encounter, which was like a retreat. And you go to this retreat and they're saying, they're just talking so highly about it. Like, you know, people are getting impacted. Their lives are being changed. And so she signs up to go to one.
No, my leader signed me up.
Oh, she signed you up?
Isabel signed me up.
Oh,
She
wow.
paid for my ticket.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
I was like, Isabel, I can't go. I don't have money. I'm not going to pay $100. That's insane. She paid for it. She's like, Cookie, I will pay for it. But
wow.
I need you to go.
Shout out Isabel.
Shout out Isabel. I love her so much.
There you go.
Yep.
I remember that day I took you. I dropped you off.
Yeah.
We went in the bus.
I
I
was
keep
like,
saying
I
I
don't
took
wanna
you.
go.
I didn't drive yet either. But I took the bus with her.
Yeah.
We
I took you in the bus.
And then I had my skateboard to ride back.
Yeah.
And dropped you off. And I remember literally dropping you off, you getting on the bus, waving bye to you. I skated down the street. Before I even got off the street,
Oh, I popped a pill.
popped the X and drank some water, and then skated away. And just I think I went to go kick it with my homies that day, if I'm not mistaken. And then she went off to her retreat. And when she came back, she's super impacted. And then
Super changed. God changed me
super changed.
at that encounter. Yeah.
And then I went to one after, but I don't know
Like
how
2
soon
weeks
after.
after.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted.
And then you were changed because you were trying to break up with me.
Then I went to mine.
Yeah.
And then boom, got impacted like crazy too. I guess I was you know, it was cool. I remember that time, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people at church I could relate to. Like some
Yeah.
dudes, like they were
In that
either into
season,
graffiti, they were in that scene.
They came
like
out
they're
of that.
out of
Yeah.
the hood or graffiti or whatever. Like they were in the mix with all the same type of people I was in the mix with.
Yeah. Except
So
they
I
were
could
changed
relate.
now.
They
Yeah.
they were changed
Yeah.
already. They were more mature in that than I was. Way more. Went with them. Boom, I got rocked. And I came back and was like, I gotta change everything. I gotta stop everything. And yeah, I wanted to break up with you, huh?
When you came back.
When I came back.
Yeah. I mean, well, because, I mean,
With good intentions.
the encounter. Yeah. I mean, you talk about that part. I'm like,
I remember I got rocked, like, and boom, my mind just shifted. And I was like, and I felt like I had to go, like, in order to do this well, I had to go all out. All out. Like, to be a Christian, you got to do it all out. Like, I think I almost was looking at it at that point. Like,
I think
is that legalism or something? Like,
no.
where it's like, no?
I think that, well, because the encounter is the way that we used to do them. We still do them the same way. But it's like surrender. It's inner healing. So it's a lot of surrendering. And it's, I remember like people would come and you would surrender your things and they're dropping like pipes, coke, weed, all these things.
They'd put it up there and be like, all right, I'm leaving it behind.
Yeah, everything, you know. So it's that you had 2 days, 2.5 days to surrender everything to the Lord. And when you're carrying, when you have so much baggage, it's freeing, you know. And I feel like you experienced that. And I feel like it was not legalism. I remember like the Holy Spirit touched you. Like you were renewed
for sure
from who you used to be.
For sure.
So you came like with that fresh awakening.
Yeah, I never felt anything like that. That was the first time ever. Like, I got saved. I could say I got saved at that point.
Was when you got saved.
I was like, sold out, and I was like, let's break up. I was I'm not listening to the wrong
Lord.
Music. I'm not gonna, none of that. But and I did that for a while, and I remember I changed a lot. And mind you, all this time when I was going in the wrong direction, like my family was like, I became like, what I felt like was like the black sheep of the family, where it was like, don't let the cousins hang out with Norbie because he's a bad influence. And that's what it felt like. And all of a sudden that started to shift. And when I got saved, because all of a sudden all my aunts were like, "Oh, can you talk to so and so?
Because we're going to church
Can you?"
now.
Yeah,
We've
because I'm going to
changed our
church.
lifestyle.
They're like, "Please talk to so and so," and I was stepping into that like kind of like leadership role where I felt that like I was like, "Yeah, let me pour onto this person. Let me tell them, let me." And I was essentially like evangelizing to some people, whoever was in my circle at the time. And then I just remember at one point, like I was like, this is not, it didn't feel natural for me. I was like, nah, I was like I was just a black sheep, like, why are you asking me for help now? Like, like, why are you asking me now? Like, I was like, nah, it's not me. Like, don't put that pressure on me of like trying to lead your kid. Like, what? Like, and I started to doubt myself and be turned off to the idea of me being a leader, because I was like, that's not who I am. I was like, this is who I am. And then I just started to sneak right back into who I was, introducing the little things like the music and just falling right back into who I was, until before I knew it, I was just back into the mix again, doing the same thing, kicking it with my homies, drinking, smoking. Yeah, I don't know. And I fell back into that. This is 18, 19, 20, and then 21 years old. Mind you, we're
it was 18, 19, because I remember.
Yeah, like 19 is probably when
and then we broke up because.
And at this point, you and I, our relationship is like getting a little bit rockier in a sense, because you're telling me, I don't want to be doing this, I don't want to be doing that. I'm coming to hang out with you, and I'm like lit from having hung out with my homies, and I'm lit, and I'm trying to hook up with you and do stuff like that, and you're like, stop.
I was like reading my word.
Yeah, and she'd
and
be
praying,
literally,
and this boy would come to my house all super faded,
super
drunk,
lit,
and I'm like, this is not the life I'm trying to live, sir.
So she's all in her zone, like praying, reading the Bible, and I'm coming over here. That went on for a while, but our relationship started to get rocky because you wanted something different. Right. So you're holding me to the standard, and I'm like, I'm totally still not there at all. Like, I was just like, nope, I'm going in the wrong direction. At 21 years old, I had this accident where, again, at this point, I would say I was getting back into graffiti, and I remember we were hitting the train station all the time. We were, it's an expensive habit too if you're trying to buy paint. So at that, and I couldn't afford that. So at that point, we're kind of getting back into, I could afford to buy it at that point. I wasn't like when I was younger, when I was just racking everything. But we were kind of like, oh, let's steal some and try to steal some. Which again, like, only the reason I bring that up is like you get in trouble for that too, and then we're going to train tracks. And what's crazy is at this point, like, I remember 2 instances that could have been problematic, had I kept going down that road. Remember, there was one dude who hit me on IG because at this point I had picked up a camera and I was filming us doing that, tagging. And I remember I put up a video of us hitting this train spot, and some dude hit me up and was like, bro, like, you burning out the spot, yada yada. He wasn't wrong, but I was young and I didn't care. Like, I never cared like what people said to me or anything. I was like, I'm gonna do what I want. And he's like, you're burning out the spot, blah blah, it's my spot, I've been going there for years, you over here bringing cameras. And I was like, bro, whatever. And then he's like, bro, he's like, all right, he's like, watch, he's like, I got a few screws loose. He's like, I can't wait to run into you. And I was like, bet. I was like, I'll see you there. And I really didn't care. But when I think about it now, I'm like, dang, like, who knows what would happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't really prepared for a situation. Like, I don't know what would happen.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully just a fight, but you just never know. And then, so I'm doing that at 21 years old again, and drinking again. And then you and I broke up. And, I always tell it this way. I remember breaking up a couple times. And we broke up. I'm like, all right, no, I want to make it work. I don't want to be broken up.
No, we would break up, and then this boy would kiss me. And we're like, didn't you just break up with me? Didn't we just break up?
I didn't know what I wanted, man. I was lost. And then we were broken up at one point. I'm hitting the gym super consistently. And oh well, actually, before I even get there, the other situation I was talking about was, I remember I was tagging on this truck. The guy actually gave me permission to paint on his truck. Were you there that day?
No.
Yeah, so I'm tagging on this truck that I have permission to tag on. So I'm there in the daytime, not worried about it because I know I have permission. I didn't have a permit or nothing. The cops could have still stopped me. But I was like, but the guy had told us like we could paint over it. And I was getting capped, so other dudes were coming, covering my spot, and I was going and tagging back over it. They tagged it over me again. I went, and now I'm tagging over it again. It's probably like the third time. I was like, heck no, this is my spot. Like, you gotta let me.
Yeah.
So then that day while I'm doing that, some dudes just pull up. I didn't even see them come, crack a bottle on my head. And I was like, what? Turn around, square up. And then it's like, from what I remember, like 3-4 dudes, I don't know, 5 dudes, I don't know, that are right there coming out the car. They're just all like, oh, what's up? And we're all just like squared up. But I'm like, I didn't advance because I'm like, I'm gonna get jumped right now. And then I look back at my homies, like they didn't step in either, but like one of my homies was holding his dog. And, and then the other homie was like, I didn't expect him to get in. And I was like, damn, like, and we just squared up. And I don't remember any words being exchanged. And they just got in the car and left. And then I was like, man, what the heck, blah, blah, like wondering who that was. And then a week later is when I was riding my bike to the gym. And then I got hit by a car. You and I are broken up at this point. I got hit by a car while riding my bicycle. And, you know, I woke up on the concrete. I was unconscious. The last thing I remember was changing the music on my iPod 2 blocks prior to where I got hit. I remember waking up face on the ground, on the concrete, putting my head up, and waking up to people standing over me. And they're like, hey, did you see the color of the car? Did you see the color of the car? I look up, and I'm like, what car? And they're like, the car that hit you. And I look to the side, and I see all these cars. Like, it's like a movie scene, like 2 lanes of cars just parked, doors open, people walking out of their cars towards me. And I'm just like, oh, shoot, boom, lay back down. And I'm in and out of consciousness, you know. And cops come, they're checking my ID. And I could tell, like, they're checking my ID, and they're asking me my name to see if I'm all there. Yo, what's your name? Oh, yeah, how do you spell it? What's your address? Oh, okay, cool. Then the ambulance comes, put me in the, yo, man, that's a nice bike. Like, they're just trying to talk to me and keep me awake. And I'm just, like, in and out of consciousness. And I remember hearing them say, bone exposure. And I was like, damn, what does that mean? Like, I know what that means, but I'm like, bone exposure where? Like, I couldn't feel anything. So that was a crazy experience, man. I went to the hospital, and, you know, they rushed me into surgery and had me sign some papers, call my dad, let him know. And then next thing I knew, I came out the surgery room, and I was so happy. I mean, I was probably all doped up on the medication they gave me, but I was so happy. I was thanking the nurses. I was like, thank you so much.
I mean, it's who you are in general.
Yeah, but I was like so happy because I truly felt like they saved my life. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I had never gone through that experience of like being saved by somebody or going through into the hospital for anything like that. So I literally felt like they were saving my life. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember, I mean, you have your own side to the story, but I remember, you know, when got into the hospital room, parents were all, you know, mom's crying when she sees me in there. And then I remember, then you came, even though we were broken up, you came to the hospital, you visited me. It was a fresh breakup, so we were still talking. And you
had seen each other that morning.
Oh yeah, that morning.
You don't remember?
Oh yeah, did I stop
you
by?
Left my house, yeah.
Yeah. And then you spent like most of that week with me, right? The whole week with me at the hospital. She was with me every day at the hospital. Real one, you know. She stayed with me the most.
Dropped all my college classes.
Dropped yours, yeah.
Put a hold on work.
Put a hold on everything.
2 jobs.
And she stayed with me the whole time, you know, more than anybody else. So at that point, we're like bonding again together because she's helping me. Like, I could barely move. My arm's messed up. I got to go to the restroom. Like, I have her to talk to, you know, while I'm going through all this. You know, I had a couple emotional moments in there. I don't know. I was just wondering, like, dang, like, why am I alive? You know, like, this is crazy. Like, I could have died. Like, and I would have never saw it coming. And
it's crazy.
Man, almost all I could say, like, if you're blessed enough to have a moment like that, it's scary and it's crazy to say it that way, but like if you're blessed enough to have a moment where you come that close to death, but you get to live, it can impact you and change you, and it should, for the better, letting you realize like you got a second chance at life. And I just remember realizing, like, because I was 21, I was young, felt invincible, and you never think about death. Like, it's like, oh, I got years, before I'm old.
And we'll tell them what you used to think, that you used to think that before you're gonna die, you're gonna, like, you would repent.
Yeah, I would think, like, when I'm gonna die, the very last second, I'm gonna repent, and that was a big shock to me too. That I was like, damn, I would have never seen it coming. I would have never had that chance to, because I never even knew that I got hit by a car. But then, I get out the hospital 7 days later, jaw wired shut, was only on liquids.
Surgery on your
surgery
arm.
on my
Broken
arm. I couldn't even extend. I could barely move my arm. I had to go to physical therapy for that. But on the 7th day, when I get home, my girlfriend, well, actually, we're broken up. She texts me and she says, hey, I just took a pregnancy test and it came out positive. And at this moment, I'm sitting at home like, all right, I just got home for the first time. I'm out the hospital, and I was just questioning why did this happen? Like, I was already literally emotional at that moment. I was like, and she was at home and she was gonna come visit me later, and I'm literally thinking, like, why am I alive? Like, why did this happen? Like, I just felt like there was a reason, like there was something deeper. Boom, she's like, send me that text, I'm pregnant. And I was like, pfft. Honestly, that moment rocked me and changed my life. Like, that moment changed my life more than anything. And from that moment on, I was like, I felt the pressure of, like, I've got to be a father and I've got to be a provider.
At 21 years old.
21 years old. And I was just like, whatever I do, I got 9 months to figure this out. I got 9 months to, and I had a part-time job and a camera in my hand that I was like half pursuing. Again, I was just filming myself doing graffiti and filming the homies and whatnot, or taking pictures.
But you picked up the camera because...
But I picked it up because I wanted to
start a clothing brand.
I wanted to start a clothing brand. I knew I wanted to do my own thing. In
the middle of, the bad things, because we're not talking about any of the positive things you were doing. Yeah. You always knew. I remember you were at McDonald's and you were like, I hate it here. I don't want to work for anyone. I remember that. Yeah. And then you were at the radio station and you were like, I hate it here. I don't want to work for anyone. And you had picked up the camera and you did make some pieces, and I thought they were really dope. Yeah. Like, your True Treasure stuff were amazing. Yeah. And that's when you started picking up the camera, right? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I tried to do this little clothing line, try to shoot my own videos for it. And then, but as soon as, you let me know there was a baby on the way, I was like, this has to be my moneymaker. Yeah. And so I went hard, and that was basically the moment my life changed. And we can dive into that later, but
that's part 2.
We'll dive into that in part 2, and then we'll dive into your story part 2. But we just wanted to, we kind of got to go right now, so I'm sorry we have to cut this a little bit short, but we did just want to share our testimonies. Today you heard mine. As you can see, it's just a huge contrast of where I am now. And I mean, one, having a kid had to force me to grow, and I accepted that. I accepted that responsibility, and I changed. And also, I had fell off so far, beyond what my parents were trying to raise me as and what I was exposed to at home. Like, it goes to show how much your environment can truly influence you. Yeah. And again, like, we didn't dive all the way into this, but like, lack of identity, like me having a lack of identity. And not really having role models that I wanted, or role models that I respected and was like, that's how I want to be, without having that guidance. Like, it's so easy to fall into those influences. So anyways, I hope that you get some value out of hearing this story. I hope, for some of you guys that are listening may know that version of me. And some of you guys may be completely surprised to hear about that version of me. Yeah. But I got to cut it short on this one, guys.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
Tonight.
Love you guys. Again, thank you for the support. We love all the love that you guys have been showing us on the past episodes. The likes, the comments, please continue to help us out. Send these videos to a friend. Share them with somebody it might give value to. You know, anything you guys can do to help us. We love it. We cherish it. We appreciate it. And it goes a long way, to be honest. We can see it. You know, we can see the numbers go up a little bit every time somebody shares. And also for everybody who texted us and you know, shared their heart and appreciation for the last episodes. Like, thank you. Like, you have no idea. That means a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're doing this, and we basically had faith that this could bring value and that this could hopefully impact people, but we don't know. You know, we're filming these conversations and we press play and publish on YouTube, and we don't know what the response is going to be. So hearing it from you guys is super helpful and super encouraging. Thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.